Ugh. Do you get headaches? Do you use CPAP? Well, if you just answered yes twice, then believe it or not, your filter, this little guy, could be partially to blame. But maybe not for the reasons you've heard on the internet. For while there is a link between having a dirty filter and getting headaches in the morning, it probably isn't the one that has done the rounds on some CPAP forums. So in this video, I'm going to sort out the facts from the fictions when it comes to dirty filters and headaches. Coming up. Ruben here from RespShop again, coming at you with some well-researched CPAP info care. RespShop is your one-stop shop for everything CPAP. We've been serving people with sleep apnea since 2008 from our headquarters in Redmond, Washington. Subscribe to the channel to stay ITK. If you know what that means, ask your kids. Okay, so about those headaches of yours. As I said, your CPAP filter could be part of the problem. The filter is a consumable for your unit and it filters the air coming into your CPAP machine before the motor pumps it up into your mask and then into your airway. It has a very important job to do because it's responsible for keeping the incoming air free of particulates like pollen, dirt, pet dander, smoke particles, mold spores, and dust. Keeping the incoming air clean is important for your motor so it doesn't get clogged, and it's also important for your airway so it doesn't get clogged and you don't get sick. But because its job is to stop bad stuff clogging up your machine and lungs, it itself gets clogged up instead. In other words, the filter's job is to get dirty so your machine and airway do not. But if you let your filter get too dirty and don't change it, there can be adverse effects to both the machine and to you, such as motor failure, airway irritation, and of course, headaches. But how? How could a dirty filter give someone a headache? Well, here are the two main reasons. Firstly, when a filter gets dirty, it becomes less efficient at keeping particulates from coming into the machine. There's simply too much grime on the filter for it to stay in place when air is rushing through it, and so some of that grime comes loose and gets through the filter into the machine. Over time, this could affect your motor's performance and then go into your airway and then cause a physical reaction. Particulates in the airway can cause sinus inflammation, facial pressure, and allergy headaches. So this could be a reason for your CPAP headache. The other main way that a dirty filter can give you a headache is that it stops allowing as much air to pass through it. All that dirt and grime can block the incoming air, which means that your motor has to work harder to provide the same pressure with less airflow, and then eventually struggle to give you the pressure that you need at all. Less pressure means less effective CPAP therapy, which can mean poorer and fragmented sleep, one symptom of which can be morning headaches. You guessed it. Then you can also get brain fog and fatigue. So the connection here isn't that lower or inconsistent air pressure itself gives you a headache, but that it negatively affects your therapy, which means worsening of your apnea symptoms, including headaches. Now I said earlier that there was a myth doing the rounds about the connection too. And that is that a dirty filter causes CO2 recycling, which gives you a headache. Carbon dioxide recycling is when you exhale carbon dioxide into the mask that doesn't get flushed away properly, and so that you inhale that carbon dioxide back in on your next breath and end up being starved of oxygen because you aren't getting the oxygen saturation that you need in your breathing. CO2 recycling would certainly cause a headache among other things, but there is little evidence that a dirty filter would cause CO2 recycling to occur. The reason is that it is the mask's job to flush away the CO2 through its air diffusion vents and not the job of the filter to flush it out. If you're getting CO2 recycling, then it's far more likely that the problem is at the mask, possibly because the air diffusion mechanism of the mask is clogged or dirty. Some of the newer masks use a mesh or a foam in the air diffusion system. This gives a gentler expulsion of air, which can be quieter and better for bed partners, but these diffusers can also get dirty and clog more easily, and so require more regular cleaning and more regular replacement. And even the older drilled hole system of air diffusion will only work if these holes are clean and open, so make sure that they are. But a dirty mask or diffusion system is something different to a dirty filter. So changing or cleaning the filter won't do much to stop CO2 recycling if that's what the problem is. What the example of CO2 recycling does show about headaches is that there can be several causes of headaches linked to CPAP therapy. And although you should definitely make sure that your filter is clean and regularly replaced, don't assume that it's the cause. It could be CO2 recycling from a clogged air diffuser, but it could be also due to bad pressure settings, mask leaks, or dehydration. So keep an open mind and check the various possibilities. Okay, so let's say that you think that you might have a dirty filter and that this might be linked to your headaches because it's allowing particulates into your airway and reducing the effectiveness of your treatment. What now? And how do you know when the filter is dirty or needs replacing? Well, you could take a look at your filter for starters. If your filter looks dirty or discolored, change it. Or if you've reached the recommended replacement timing from the manufacturer, which will be in the machine's user manual, change it even if the filter does look clean. And many machines include replacement schedules that you can set so that you get notified when it's time to replace the filter and other consumables. And you can often set this to whatever schedule that you're most comfortable with. And as some good general advice, I would also recommend that you use hypoallergenic filters if your machine takes them. They don't cost much more and they do a much better job of keeping those nasties out of the air that you breathe. And if you get your filters from RespShop.com, you can get them using our subscribe and save option to make sure that you don't run out when replacement time comes, plus you'll save 15% on the cost of the consumables too. And you'll also start reaching a higher RespShop Rewards tier and get even more bonuses. Nice! And once you get on top of your filter problems, you will no doubt be able to sleep clean, headache-free, and of course, sleep tight. See you next time.